Hello Team FD and welcome back to the UCL review where we take a look at Europe's creme de la creme from the match day just past. Patrick van Straten, where are we starting? Because there was a historic upset somewhere in Europe, right?
Yeah, we have to start in Moscow where CSKA produced the shock result of the night in Group G, beating Real Madrid over in Russia. It's actually the first time that Real have lost on match day 2 in 20 years. Ooh. And the winning goal came very early on, 64 seconds in. Everton loanee Nikola Vlasic, Pickle Nick, 20-year-old, scored following a poor back pass from Toni Kroos. It's actually the second quickest Champions League goal that Real Madrid have ever conceded. Do you know who scored the quickest? Let us know in the comments below. Now, Vlasic, very impressive over the course of the game. 2 dribbles, 2 interceptions, 3 tackles, 2 chances created. Very good numbers for a young player, especially against such an elite side. You have to think that he would be useful for Everton. And yet, here he is, plying his trade out in the depths of Eastern Europe. Anyway, it's the first time in 30 games that Real Madrid have failed to score in the Champions League. The last team to shut them out was Man City back in 2016. But it wasn't for lack of trying. They had a ton of shots on the night, 26 in total. That's 8 more than their average, which is already very, very high. And it's their highest number of shots in a Champions League game without scoring since 2003-2004. That is not the sort of record that you want to be making. Only 4 of them on target as well. So these were very speculative attempts. Marginally better than the hosts, who managed 3 on target from their 8 shots. But you'd imagine that having gone up so early, they were quite happy to sit back and let Real Madrid try and do it from range.
Missing Gareth Bale, it would seem. But yes, Real actually don't have the best away record from home when they're down at half-time with 3 wins, 7 draws and 21 losses. Now, Los Blancos have failed to score in 3 consecutive games for the first time since 2007 when Fabio Capello was at the helm. So, what is the issue? Now, Sergio Ramos, Marcelo and Isco were out in this game through injury, but the main problems are in the final third at the moment. Without Bale, who suffered an abductor injury picked up against Atletico Madrid, they lack cutting edge, don't they? Of course, he took 6 shots alone against Roma. But as a starting striker, Karim Benzema has now registered 0 shots on target in the last 6 games.
It's not great.
That is my favourite stat from this match week. Of course, started the season really well, didn't he? And it sort of tailed right off. However, Ceballos was also poor. Some players on the peripheries of the squad failed to impress. The players kind of rotated in, actually came in out of necessity, basically, didn't they? Ceballos was poor, 0 dribbles, 0 tackles, 0 shots on target from 3 attempts, although he did lay on 3 chances for his teammates, marginally more productive than Lucas Vázquez, who was also underwhelming. Coming into this game, Real Madrid had never lost a game where Vázquez had started. One of those obscene stats that means nothing, really. But his 90 looked like this. 0 shots, lost possession once, only completed 32 passes, around half as many as Asensio on the other flank before being hauled off after 58 minutes. Now, CSKA, who are top of the group, subsequently finished the game with 10 men after Akinviv was shown a second yellow. Weirdly enough, at the end of the game, got a red card. And Real have now only won 2 of their last 5. They're 3rd in the group behind Roma. So unusual territory for Real Madrid. We are backing them, obviously, to turn this around. But who will top that group? Will it be Roma? Surprise package. Definitely not CSKA. Let us know in the comments below.
Next, we head over to Juventus, who enjoyed a comfortable night despite the absence of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, they whooped some young boys 3-0. And secured 9 victories out of 9 at the start of this season as a result. Their best start to a campaign since 1929-30, scoring 21, only conceding 5 in the process.
Seems pretty good.
So, Allegri not really worked out his best system yet, but still rolling most teams over, which is a pretty worrying prospect for most other teams in Serie A and across Europe. But in the process of this victory, Paulo Dybala joined an exclusive club, becoming only the 4th player to score a UCL hat-trick for the old lady. Can you name the other 3? Can you name 1? Don't look at your sheet.
I'm trying not to look at my sheet. Del Piero must be 1.
Yes, correct. That is obvious. We'll give you that one for free. But moving on, so name the other 2 in the comments below. The 24-year-old Argentine's best return in the Champions League is actually 4. And that came in 16-17. So it hasn't been his most productive competition. So now, as a result of last night, could easily topple that. And the first was, quite frankly, ridiculous, wasn't it? That volley that he just watched and watched and watched and cushioned into the side netting with his left foot. A beautiful pass from Bonucci. No surprise that Bonucci can come up with sort of assists like that when he's averaging 7 long balls a game in the Champions League. Now, Dybala could have actually had 4. He also hit the woodwork and he took a monstrous 7 shots. They're Cristiano Ronaldo numbers as he partnered Mandzukic in a 2 for the first time this season, with Bernardeschi behind him in that number 10 role.
Yeah, Bernardeschi was kind of... He still pulled out to the wing a bit, but he was driving through the middle for so much of the game. And he did produce some pretty decent numbers. Completed 3 dribbles, that's a game high. 2 key passes, had 2 shots, and completed 93% of his passes. However, I do think he could have had a lot more. There were a couple of times where he picked definitely the wrong option. One where he delayed too long, and then when he played the pass, Mandzukic was off balance. Another where he could have played in Emre Can, who had half the box to himself, completely unmarked, and instead gave it to a heavily covered Paulo Dybala. So I still think there are decision-making issues there, but it's incredibly promising, you know. And of course, as we said, without Cristiano Ronaldo, it shows that they've still got the firepower to beat most teams. Dybala was dropping deep in this game, but was still a threat through the middle. He was capable of doing seemingly absolutely everything. It was a slightly messy-ish performance, I have to say. Anyway, young boys were never really at the races in this match. They had 1 shot on target. Juventus had 8. And their expected goals ended up at 0.2. That's not how you win a game away at the Juventus Stadium.
Burnley.
Well, that's a fair point. Yeah, Juve are now top of the division. They're top of their little league table on 6 points. Young boys are bottom. They have a -6 goal difference. I think that group might be wrapped up.
Yeah.
Not great.
Last but not least, then, we finish on an English team, and thank the Lord it's not Manchester United, because we have taught them to death this week. I'm sick of Jose, I'm sick of Pogba, I'm sick of Tomlinson. It's Manchester City who beat Hoffenheim away from home.
Yeah, they snap a 4-match losing streak in the Champions League, and it lifts them up to 2nd in Group F, behind Lyon, who of course came back to draw at home against Shakhtar 2-2. Now, that means that City continue a vein of fine form against German opposition. Here's some bullshit facts for you. They're unbeaten in their last 6 games against teams from the Bundesliga. Amazing. They've won 5 of those. Though, to be honest, they did have history on their side here. Hoffenheim have been shocking in European competition. They've won just 1 of their previous 10 games in continental tournaments. Not great for them. Aguero got his 8th goal against German opposition in the Champions League. He always does well.
Bloody
against teams
hates
in
the Germans.
But it's almost as if most teams that come out of the Bundesliga are underfunded and don't have the level of player that other teams have.
Do you think Pep, during the team talk, just went, Sergio, Germans?
David Silva's got 5 of his 6 Champions League goals against German clubs. So there's a fact for you. Anyway, I thought that they struggled a little bit early on, conceded a goal very, very early to Belfodil. But then after that, it was just relentless, wave after wave after wave. Leroy Sané and Sterling seemed to have endless space. And Sané's just lethal. He's such a danger.
Yeah, particularly against, I feel, when he's man-marked by a sort of higher calibre player, maybe like Trent Alexander-Arnold in the Champions League last season is a good example. There are moments where he struggles to adapt his game.
Sure.
But against inferior opposition, he is murderous, isn't he? He's absolutely relentless, and this was one of those games. And we're going to talk about that penalty incident in a minute, after I give you some more, sort of mundane facts, because, no one really watched this game last night. In fact, let's dive straight into them. Sergio Aguero becomes just the 2nd player to score in 5 consecutive away UCL fixtures for an English club after Van Nistelrooy did it in 2003, which is a stark comparison to, Luis Suarez's form away from home in Europe. Apparently, he hasn't scored in European competition away from home since 2015.
It's not great.
Can you validate that?
Prove it.
Prove it.
Disprove it, actually.
Prove it to me on Twitter. Anyway, City really should have been out of sight by the time Silva scored that win. I love that. He's absolutely ruthless in the box, isn't he? If you take a dodgy touch, David Silva will be there. He's an absolute savage. XG had it at 2.6, Hoffenheim's 0.4.
Yikes.
And let's move on to that penalty incident, because this is probably one of the clearest incidences penalty-wise I've seen in quite some time. When the goalkeeper gets up, looks towards the heavens, mutters something that looks like, I it, it's probably a penalty.
And also the ball just carried on going straight. There was no deviation in where the ball went at all. The keeper clearly didn't touch it. It's so clean. You know, he's actually done a great job to entirely miss the ball. Like he's got in like that in about 6 inches of space between the ball and Leroy Sané, and taken the clean out.
He's gone both wrists on one shin. He's
great.
made very clean contact.
Vintage match fixing.
And you see all the Hoffenheims, the players' sort of body language. They're all like, oh, no. But the ref wasn't having it. So, yeah, awful. VAR obviously coming into the Champions League next season. But until then, we'll continue to talk about these sort of incidences. Now, after City's win and Lyon and Shakhtar's score draw, the group subsequently is still wide open. I would quite like to have watched that Lyon game. Moussa Dembele scored and it saw his header flash up on my app, I'm not going to say who the broadcaster was.
The easiest goal he's ever scored.
Shouldn't. Anyway, City face Shakhtar away next, a side who were one of the few sides to beat them last season, so that'll be an interesting game. How do you think this group is going to fare? City top, Lyon second, probably?
I'd like Lyon to win it. That'd be sick. Even though they have their problems, Lyon are fun, and I would like them. You know what? I'd like City to go out of it. I don't give a shit.
Nah, come on. Come on.
Oh, shut up.
City to win the Champions League.
Why do you want City to win the Champions League? You don't care about City.
Citizens.
What's going on?
Woo!
Why are you such a shill?
So that's UCL review for another week on FD, but tomorrow it will be featuring on Euro Football Daily, where we'll be covering such high-profile ties as...
Liverpool-Napoli.
Yep.
Tottenham-Barcelona.
Yep.
Which, of course, we have a watch-along of this very evening, so make sure you tune in for that. And
live at 7:50.
Oh, who else? PSG have got somebody tasty that I've forgotten.
Yeah. Tonight's games and tomorrow's show, much more substantial than this.
This has been shit.
If you've made it to this point, you're an absolute trooper. Send Pato a screenshot. Send me a screenshot of Pato. Yeah. Bye.